People in America are terrified of a new war in the Middle East. We're going to see exactly how this is going to be carried out, why they're striking places inside of Iran, and we're going to have to look at this at a deeper level to understand exactly why we're going to continuously have to fight against a country that wants to establish itself as a North Korea in the Middle East.
You're watching continuing coverage here of a joint U.S.-Israel strike on Iran, and all of this is raising fears, of course, of a wider regional conflict. Retired Lieutenant General, former U.S. Ambassador to NATO, Doug Lute is here with me now to look into all of this. It is good to see you, Lieutenant General. Let's talk about Iran, because Iran oversees this network of proxies in the region. What kind of reaction could we see unfold here?
Well, these proxies, of course, occupy territory where the U.S. has interests. So from Yemen through Iraq, through Syria still, even though much diminished, into Lebanon, all the way into the Gaza Strip. So while these proxy networks they suffered heavy attrition over the last year, largely at the hands of Israeli strikes, they still exist. So U.S. interests, this is beyond just the Persian Gulf. U.S. interests across the whole region can be threatened by way of these proxies.
A lot of the Arab nations there, they cautioned against these strikes. They say that it could destabilize the region. If this goes on for days, as the president suggested, what could we see with those countries?
Well, you're right. First of all, if we take the sort of maximalist objectives that President Trump laid out in his statement from Mar-a-Lago, this will go on for days, and maybe even longer than days, weeks. And I think we're going to see increasingly some.
They're going to try and push a Venezuela. They're really going to try and push another Venezuela. They don't have the same generals or the understanding of the area of the logistics. And because of this, they're not going to be pushing for an exact complete takeover, but they're going to be pushing for what they call more of a messy invasion. So the messy invasion itself is just going to be pushed in as an excuse to do a ground invasion. That's it.
Resistance by our Arab partners from Oman, who was actually mediating the U.S.-Iranian talks. But through the Omanis, the Emiratis, the Bahrainis, the Qataris, the Saudis, the Kuwaitis, the Iraqis will all have concerns that now that we've crossed the threshold into active combat, where does this end? And especially given the maximalist objectives that the president laid out.
What about our allies in Europe? What are you expecting from them?
Well, look, the Iranian ballistic missile program, the systems they have in hand can reach Europe, at least the southeastern part of Europe. So that's a concern as well. And I think the Europeans will also be watching for the potential economic impact of this. Look, still something like 25% of the global oil supply still flows out of the Gulf through the Strait of Hormuz. And that strait is controlled in part by Iran.
All right, Lieutenant General Doug Lute, former U.S. Ambassador to NATO as well. This is an issue that you've been looking at for many, many years now. We appreciate having you. Thank you so much.
Good to be with you.
Absolutely.
Again, this is just going to be a basic fight for human rights for a lot of these people, and they're going to perceive this as, again, an ideological alignment with fighting against people who are not in line with a lot of the Arabian belief systems or Islamic belief systems, since they're going to have a lot of united people fighting against Iran. Since there's Shia-Sunni issue and the Wahhabis have always been fighting against the Iranian people, it's going to be, again, something they're used to, which is why you're going to see a lot of strikes inside of a lot of our Arabic countries and allies that are with the United States. These missiles hitting Europe is just hype. A lot of these missiles can be intercepted. The problem is that if you intercept it with a nuclear payload, it becomes a bigger issue, which of course it's not an issue right now with their basic fragmentation and explosive payloads.